Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Good evening. You're watching the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. First, the headlines. On the occasion of the 44th National Day, His Majesty Sultan Qaboos issues a royal pardon for a number of inmates convicted in various cases. His Majesty the Sultan receives more cables of greetings on the occasion of the 44th National Day. And in celebrating the glorious National Day, streets and landmarks in the Governorate of Muscat are decorated with colourful lightings. Those were the headlines, and now the news in detail. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has issued a royal pardon for a number of inmates convicted in various cases. The number of those honoured by the royal pardon amounted to 123 inmates, including 60 inmates from other nationalities. The royal pardon of His Majesty the Supreme Commander coincides with the Sultan's celebrations of the 44th Glorious National Day and in consideration of families of the inmates. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has received a cable of greetings from His Excellency Dr. Yahya bin Mahfoud al-Mantari, Chairman of the State Council, on the occasion of the 44th Glorious National Day. He stated that during these happy days, as the Sultanate receives the good omen and the delight of welfare, and as the loyal people thanking Almighty for the well-being He granted the country and His Majesty the Sultan, he is honoured on his behalf and on behalf of the honourable members of the State Council and its employees, as Oman is witnessing two happy occasions, to forward sincere greetings and best wishes with His Majesty on the anniversary of the 44th National Day and on the occasion of the furtherly gracious royal speech which His Majesty addressed to his faithful citizens to celebrate this blessed day, requesting Almighty to renew such occasions on His Majesty and many years to come, as His Majesty enjoys good health and happiness. The genuine Omani people has received His Majesty's royal appearance with feelings filled with sincere love and to be inspired by the beloved leader to embrace solidarity and loyalty. Citizens from various governorates of the Sultanate took to the streets to express their happiness to see the leader of the Blessed Renaissance, praying to Almighty to endow His Majesty with good health, happiness and long life. He said they promised to contribute in continuing the blessed march and protect the gains of the dear land. He further stated in the cable, as the Sultan celebrates the National Day, they witnessed the international interaction to see the wise leader with good health, which indicated the global position enjoyed by Oman under the wise leadership of His Majesty. The Sultanate is always embracing the peace and coexistence among people, as it exerts efforts in foreign policy to live with every country and to adhere to the wise dialogue in various international issues. His Majesty's successful policies are not to interfere in other countries' international issues, and instead working with the international community to upgrade humanity, stability and security globally, which brought to Oman and Omanis recognition and respect in various events and occasions. He concluded by saying that Oman nowadays is a strong state with firm pillars, assisting all the nations with good omen and love, praying to Almighty to bestow upon His Majesty welfare and happiness. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has also received a cable of greetings from His Excellency Khalid bin Hilal al-Ma'wali, Chairman of the Shura Council, in which he said, with the advent of the 44th Glorious National Day and the meaning of glory and prosperity, that it embodies proceeding ahead willingly to achieve more progress in different fields of life. He is honored on behalf of himself and on behalf of members of the Shura Council and its employees to forward best greetings to His Majesty with true feelings of appreciation, allegiance and gratitude to his wise leadership that every citizen is proud of. 44 years have passed since this sunrise of the Blessed Omani Renaissance led by His Majesty, whose triumph in all situations, events, decisions, orders and directives that fulfill aspirations and demands of the citizens have made developing the Oman resources a foundation stone to achieve prosperity. That is because Yemen is not only the tool of development but also its objective, as His Majesty stressed in all of his royal speeches. He added that His Majesty had always sought to direct his government with all of its apparatus and authorities to provide all that upgrades the Yemen and boost his capabilities. His Majesty's focus on building up institutions through activating their role and expanding their tasks proved His Majesty's keenness to engage the citizens in greeting developing in a unique approach and studied steps and sustained rights. This steps from an awareness, vision and accurate thought for requirements on the age and preparedness of the citizens. He further said many gains have been achieved on the soil of Oman, land that require a national responsibility to protect them, as well as continuous efforts aiming to qualify Yemen and reach levels of competitiveness, of development, all aspects of knowledge and in how to deal with obstacles in life. He pledges to His Majesty to work on his royal orders and put them under the implementation to serve interests of the country in order to strengthen pillars of the present. He eventually said, "May Almighty sustain His Majesty, a leader, and endue him with health, long life, and surround him with care and support." His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has also received a cable of greetings on the occasion of the 44th National Day from His Excellency Sayyid Badr bin Saud bin Kharib Al Busaidi, Minister responsible for Defense Affairs. He said he is honored, as well as His Majesty's Armed Forces, Iraq Forces and all affiliates of the Ministry of Defense, to forward to His Majesty sincere greetings and best wishes on the glorious National Day, praying to the Almighty to bestow continuous happiness, good health and long life on His Majesty, and to keep the dear country as a symbol of security and stability under the wise leadership of His Majesty. He said that Sultan's armed forces was able through balanced policy and bright through of His Majesty's to overcome the difficulties in its development march of quality and quantity, taken into consideration the principle at advanced arming and upgrade efficiency in various formations, as well as developing human resources. Sultan's armed forces has witnessed during the last period two important events and qualitative shift in military training field. Firstly, the College of National Defense, which came as a translation of His Majesty's wise thought to qualify military commanders and officials in all various government apparatus to work in higher strategical levels. And the second is the opening of the Military College of Technology, which will support Sultan's armed forces as well as military and security apparatus with multi-technical specialization. He mentioned in his cable that Sultan's armed forces were honored to get recognition of His Majesty during the royal speech on the 5th of November, renewing loyalty and allegiance to His Majesty the Sultan to move forward under the wise leadership, praying to Almighty to protect His Majesty as the leader for the beloved country and endue him with good health, happiness and long life. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has received a cable of greetings from His Excellency Lieutenant General Hassan bin Mohsen Al-Shraiqi, Inspector General of Police and Customs, on the occasion of the 44th National Day, in which he said he is honored along with the affiliates of the Royal Oman Police to forward to His Majesty sincere greetings and best wishes on this glorious occasion, asking Almighty to return such happy occasions on His Majesty with health and to Oman, its nation, with permanent welfare. He added that the Sultanate is celebrating its National Day, rejoicing the goodness granted by Almighty to Omanis and showcasing the prosperity and decent life achieved under the leadership of His Majesty, who fulfilled elements of development and created a renaissance with steady foundations based on which loyal citizens adopted this policy that is characterized by peace and cordiality. He concluded the cable by saying that affiliates of Royal Oman Police are participating in the country this gracious occasion, and they are keen and persistent to perform their duties with more efficiency and readiness to serve their country and its security, asking Almighty Allah to protect His Majesty and endow him with health and happiness. His Majesty Sultan Qaboos has sent a cable of greetings to His Excellency President Andris Barzins of Latvia on the occasion of the Proclamation Day of the Republic. His Majesty the Sultan has also sent a cable of greetings to His Majesty King Mohammed VI of Morocco on the occasion of the independence anniversary of Morocco. The streets, buildings, bridges and landmarks of the Governorate of Muscat were decorated with various colorful lights and beautiful shapes to highlight the Sultan's celebration of the 44th Glorious National Day, which falls on 18th of November each year. Among the buildings that were decorated, including the Royal Opera House, Muscat, and others that included pictures of His Majesty the Sultan and flags of the Sultanate to add a further joy and express happiness on this glorious occasion. Some citizens expressed the sincere feelings towards His Majesty the Sultan, praying to Almighty Allah to protect His Majesty and bestow upon him health and happiness. Processions of joy and happiness of assuring His Majesty's good health continued all over the Sultanate. In the Wilaya of Ibri, citizens organized a procession of allegiance and gratitude and took to the streets with the Sultanate's flag hoisting and pictures of His Majesty the Sultan as traditional bands singing arts, praying to Almighty to protect His Majesty and endow him with good health. Within his bicycle journey across the Gulf capitals, the youth Khalid al-Shabibi reached Qatari capital Doha. This initiative came to express his sincere feelings of loyalty and gratitude towards His Majesty Sultan Qaboos, as well as coinciding with the 44th Glorious National Day. The idea was spread messages of traffic awareness, touristic promotion for the Sultanate, and encourage the youth to preserve these kinds of sports. He also organized a small exhibition that introduced some Qatari citizens to the Sultanate's culture. Still to come in our news bulletin. The second Business Opportunities Forum in Muscat concludes its activities. Welcome back to the news from the Sultanate of Oman television. Social development departments in the Governorate of Al Brahmi organized a celebration coinciding with the Gulf Festival for Voluntary Work, which was hosted by the Qatari capital Doha. The celebration included various items holding social nature in the Governorate of Brahmi. The Middle East College in Muscat organized a cultural week with the aim to develop creative thinking and innovation among students. It came coinciding with the 44th Glorious National Day and included various activities and workshops. It witnessed a wide participation from the college students and included section for astronomy and handicrafts. The charity market in the event came to highlight the significance of voluntary work in the society. It also included a section for historical and Arab personalities, in addition to different lectures on mental health and photography. The annual statistics of a public authority for consumer protection revealed that it received more than 32,000 violations and apprehended more than 1 million foodstuff items. The financial fines exceeded 198,000 Omani riyals until September 2014. According to the statistics, and complaints of the consumers varied among cars, electronics, foodstuff and services sectors, among many others. Communication process through a Montel network was disrupted this afternoon till now. Public Authority for Radio and Television, PART, was unable to communicate with the company to know the reason of the disruption that stopped many commercial activities and government transactions. As a result, the news department could not obtain news items brought by the local and international news agencies and satellites and internet. Thus, PART apologizes for not broadcasting some news reports, particularly the processions organized by the citizens at different governorates and villages, rejoicing the 44th National Day. The second Business Opportunities Forum witnessed signing more contracts between the big companies in the Sultanate and small and medium-sized enterprises, SMEs. The offered contracts value in forum reached to around $55 billion during the coming years. The forum, which will conclude its activities today, aims to promote the private sector in Oman through the promotion of SMEs and to provide them all means of support. The size of the signed contracts in the forum reflects the interests of the big companies to support Omani youth to start their businesses. This is the Sultanate of Oman television. Before we end tonight's bulletin, here are the main points once again. On the occasion of the 44th National Day, His Majesty Sultan Qaboos issued a royal pardon for a number of inmates convicted in various cases. His Majesty the Sultan received more cables of greetings on the occasion of the 44th National Day. And in celebrating the glorious National Day, streets and landmarks in the Governorate of Muscat are decorated with colorful lightings. With that, we come to the end of tonight's news bulletin. From all of us here at the studio and the newsroom, it's good night.